you know, he does well from behind if he's at least level 6, but when he's unable to pick up that track, is not a hero that can recover all that well, and you know that's boding well early in this game for Kaipi, is that they have been able to deal with the bounty hunter. Top lane, Bone7 pops up the rage. He's going to go in onto Spartan. Defensive Nightmare will be there. He'll toggle it off, get the brain sap off. The charge is going to come through from Bambo, but in the meantime, come with me. He is going to be brought down. Madara does have the time walk away as well. Bambo, he's not going to opt to go deep here, as 3 heroes underneath the tower. Would have been a very difficult kill for him to find, and likely would have traded his life. So Kaipi going to go a little deep. They're going to end up losing their Witch Doctor for it.
I mean, trying to win in a 2v3 engagement, regardless of what heroes you have, is always a little bit bold, especially when the Witch Doctor is the one to take the bullet. But now Bambo is going to make his arrival. Suddenly 3v2 going the other way. They're onto Spartan. They'll throw a cask, and he doesn't even have a time turnaround for Brain Sap. The cask is not going to bounce over to Madara, but they will end a bash. Doesn't look like that's quite good enough. With the time walk, the Faceless Void will live. But Bambo is causing all sorts of havoc. His lanes elsewhere, they're doing okay. Like the Sing Sing lane is again kind of rough goings, but they're providing at least as much help to Bone7 as they can possibly allow. But the bottom line, the CS for the Radiant, even with dealing with the Spirit Breaker, is still looking really darn good. Madara's offlane CS situation is extremely high for any hero, let alone a Faceless Void. A Faceless Void that's not being forced into the jungle is already a pretty big win. He's almost at his level 6, so even though Kaipi do have this lead, they can't really expect to hold on to it for a lot longer. They're going to look for the Timbersaw. He's going to chain away, salve up now. Spartan's going to go in deep. He only has a Nightmare and right-clicks. Iron Shell is not that good. Now Zai's going to get a little bit of support here from that Spirit Breaker. Charge incoming. Skylark is going to run away from a little bit of it, and he looks like he probably will survive. No, Bambo! He's going to land the charge to send a message, force the TP out, which will eventually be cancelled, but still, aggression going towards the Zai Timbersaw. Fortunately for Finem, not going to do that much.
Zai and Bone7 still farming well, though, so it's certainly not a lost early game for Kaipi, but definitely expect a bit more out of their mid lane. Bambo has tapered off a little bit after the early aggression, and Spartan is going to find a Nightmare. Now Thug rotating through with a double damage. He's got Flame Guard and the chains available. He's going to try and hold the chains to cancel the charge, and will Remnant forward. He'll be able to get it off. Bambo is going to be the trade there for the Spartan Bane. And at this point, Bambo, I would assume, worth a little bit more. They're actually both sitting on level 3, and so the Spartan kill is a bit annoying for Finem, as he still doesn't even have a set of boots. But either way, Thug going to rotate through for a kill. Does give Sing a little bit of time in this mid lane to recover. And top lane, Bone7 going in onto M&T. Should be able to find this kill relatively easily, but we'll get the Shadow Walk off, and actually walks out of sentry range with Madara jumping forward. He'll find a 2-man chrono, so Spartan going to rotate back in for the Brain Sap. They should be able to get Come With Me, but it's actually just not in range, as Bone7 will be able to zone him away. The Nightmare is going to be there now. Sing going to rotate through. He's got the Dream Coil in 1 second. Madara could be in a bit of trouble. Will time walk forward. Now there's going to be a John in just a second from Sing. He'll get the Dream Coil off, and the time walk, only level 2, is going to be on cooldown. Waning Rift will be there. They'll get the 1 kill. Bambo Tower will bring him down. As a return, Spartan going to be able to find the gold for that, and that could at least maybe get him a set of boots, but bit of overextension there, and Spartan perhaps miscommunicating with Madara a little bit, just not in range to get the Brain Sap off, and Bone7 wisely so is able to zone out the Bane there. So Skylark and Zai just not attending that fight whatsoever. Thug as well in the mid lane, but Sing Sing's rotation with his second Dream Coil will net them a kill on the 1 position void.
They're also able to go in real deep on the Spirit Breaker and clean up that kill on the Bounty Hunters. He's now 5-2-2. No earn charges, unfortunately, at the moment for Bambo, but I'm pretty sure, given the pace of this game, those earn charges are going to be coming up shortly. So Kaipi still with the kill lead at the moment. Dire CS not looking quite as good, but they are starting to make their aggressive rotations. It really is in this kind of 10 to 25-ish minute range where Kaipi are going to be a lot stronger than Finem, like decisively so. So we'll see if they are able to hit their stride, and really they need to get off to a good start, because if they let their mid-game advantage kind of slide, if they don't really pressure it hard enough, then the track kills, the Ember Spirit, who already has a really high amount of farm, the Chronospheres may start to add up. So Kaipi really do need a start like this, a start where they're causing a lot of havoc, where they're kind of messing with Finem's rotations, and they will kind of have to keep pushing forward with that, keep playing on that kind of theme of aggression, and we'll see if they're able to take down structures afterwards, because that's really the struggle for Kaipi. Until they get a Desolator on Lifestealer, killing off structures is pretty much a no-go. They're going to charge towards bottom, though. They got charged to land on Skylark. Chakram coming in as well. I don't think there's quite enough damage here, especially when there's no bash. So, yeah, they will be forced to back off now. They do get a rotation, though, from Spartan, so that's something, I guess.
Yeah, they bait out the TP, and, you know, you're talking about the CS not being completely favorable for Kaipi, but they are out farming in general if you take a look at the net worth. They're opposites in Finem, and that is just by virtue of this 7-3 kill score right now, and all that Bambo has been able to accomplish here early on. And the one thing I worry for Finem is, you know, the Ember Spirit into the Chronosphere at least not going to contribute all that much damage. He's got a lot of damage with his spells, but, you know, Sleight of Fist is the only thing you can really contribute into a Chrono unless there's a target on the edge for the Flame Guard, and, you know, Sleight of Fist not going to be doing all that much until, you know, 20-25 minutes into the game. Bottom lane, Skylark in a bit of trouble. One more chain available for Zai, comes through, should be able to get the Chakram and the Whirling Death off. One more right click will get there, but Zai will be the trade as Thug rotates in, and they will bring down the Timbersaw. The Darkseer very farmed. It's going to be a really nice solo kill for Zai, but does end up losing his life for it, and, you know, this is going to give Madara a bit of space. Now he's going to jump towards mid lane, where Bambo has bought down M and T and has a Chronosphere available. Does he want to expend it here? He will. Do they have the damage, though, with Spartan TPing in? Should be just another right click needed. Stick charges. Bambo will end up dropping as the charge was still on cooldown. But Sing Sing going to make it out of that mid lane unscathed. And overall, Finem going to expend their Chronosphere for a 4-position Spirit Breaker, who in 10 seconds can get active on the map once again, and potentially with a Life Seer Infest Bomb.
Yeah, it's not really the greatest trade for Finem, but, you know, I can't really blame him for going for that. It's still worth it, at least a little bit. And they are getting the Ember Spirit quite a lot of advantage here. They're going to look for Zai once again on the bottom lane. This time, M&T is going to join the fray. Timberchain misses. He's going to throw a Chakram, do a lot of damage to Thug with the Ion Shell damage. He'll cut through and get the kill regardless. Cask is coming in. Death Ward, the damage is just enough. He's in the tail end of the range, and now Bambo's going to arrive, charge into the group wave, gets a bash for the kill. Jeez, Bambo doesn't even have to use Nether Strike for that, so, that one was perhaps going a little bit too deep. They do get a little bit of experience on the Bounty Hunter, not quite level 6, but still it's something for him. But the cost is going to add up for real this time. Bone 7 is trading hits up towards top lane. We got another charge going in towards MNT. Bambo this time still has the Nether Strike. He's going to get a bash. Does he even need the Nether Strike? He doesn't. Okay, well, I guess why cast spells when you don't need to, right? So Kaipi get yet another one on Bambo. 7-4 and 4 rather on the Spirit Breaker. He's just non-stop causing havoc. Like, this guy is just, he doesn't have breaks, I don't think. I think someone cut his break line.
He's jumping towards the top lane once again. Madara not looking all that healthy. The TP going to come inbound as well from Come With Me, who absolutely won that bottom lane engagement for Kaipi. And the charge comes through Spartan. Bambo will cancel it before it actually connects onto the Void Sing. He's in a little bit of trouble now. They have the grip available. Track is going to be there. They won't actually expend it, as, you know, Come With Me was right there with the cask. Ziggy, though, Bone 7, he's going to get gripped up. Shuriken will be there as well. He'll get the Rage Off. Charge will come through from Bambo, but he essentially wastes the open wounds. Now a jaunt forward, not going to be expended here from Sing Sing to get the Nightmare off onto Bambo, and the coil will expire here momentarily. Do they have a bash onto Sing? They got a big right click and the Shuriken. It'll be enough to bring him down. Thug remnanting forward, looking to find Come With Me. He's out of mana essentially on the Witch Doctor. He'll drop. Bambo gonna have to TP out. Bone 7 has to waddle his way back to base on the Lifestealer, and the massive commitment towards the top lane ends up being enough for Finem to not only take the engagement, but get this all-important level 6 on their Bounty Hunter, and even a couple of track kills there. So very big win for them in the top lane. Zai, though, in the meantime, unattended there, and will be able to take down the bottom lane tier 1.
Yeah, Kaipi not really decisive in what they want to do there. Like, once you get the Nightmare on Puck, that's when you make your call, right? That's when you say, okay, well, we can either leave Sing Sing to really fend for himself and absorb that cost and back off, or we can fight over him. And they kind of chose both, and really they were just like walking back and forth, both every hero there really from Kaipi kind of patrolling, not really sure if they should go in or what. And Finem, they knew that they wanted to go in. They planted an Ion Shell on an Ember Spirit, who by the way is going to get jumped by Bambo and Bone 7, but he's just going to have a Remnant jump away. Nether Strike not landing this time. No bash is never lucky, but they will actually find the Witch Doctor in the meantime. No, it looks like just failed attempts of aggression everywhere for everyone. But Finem are able to actually assemble the troops and convincingly take that fight, because they knew that that's what they wanted to do. That's what they are kind of built for at this stage. As far as taking their fights are concerned, it's all in the Ion Shell. Now they're going to bubble up Sing over in the mid lane. They have a grip afterwards. They're going to have to use it. But you know what? It's a kill. It's actually being canceled by Bambo coming from behind, but they still get the kill with the damage over time from the Ember Spirit. And now, well, Come With Me is going to arrive, do a lot of damage to Thug with another strike there. Thug is still going to survive, however. He's going to jump away, jump back into the fight, actually. Now they're chasing after Come With Me. Madara, Ion Shell, time walk forward, gets a nice hit, and is going to get the kill. Zai's going to arrive, though, make short work of Spartan. And now it's actually maybe next time to make his reinforcements in, but people are going to start to be tracked up, and the Dire don't have enough heroes for this. So Bone7's just got to run. He does have a rage in 1 second, but he gets bashed! Oh man, there's some BS bash hacking going on in this game. From both sides, actually, and at Finem, they've closed the kill gap, and this time it's off of tracks, so they count for more. And Kaipi, even with this Timber Saw, are unable to put enough damage to the Ad Finem heroes. They're going to return Sing to this fight, but he doesn't have a Blink Dagger yet. He really doesn't want to be fighting over this. If he can help it, Madara is on the front lines with the Vanguard. He's going to get coiled. He immediately dumped down to the low ground. Bambo driving everyone else away. In the meantime, Scarlet lands a nice 4-man vacuum, but there's no follow-up to it. They'll throw the cask in. With the Ion Shell damage, it's actually adding up. Madara with the Vanguard not taking that much at all, and everyone's tracked up on the Kaipi side. Thug, he's got the Ion Shell, he's got the shield. He will back off, however, as Kaipi are really battered and bruised, but Come With Me's heal will keep them in this fight. So if Ad Finem want to fight this, it will not turn out well for them. Looks like they'll decide to turn tail and run. But still for Ad Finem, they're getting very far ahead, namely on this Ember Spirit. That's the problem here for Kaipi. They're not answering the Ember.
And we talked about it in the draft screen. There's just way too many ways to kite this lifestealer. Bone7 wasn't able to get anything done in that fight, and not only that, but on top of it, they dropped a time dilation on him, and for 12 or so seconds, he's unable to drop a rage in that fight. So just kited around, constantly chipped away. We saw Thug stick around in that fight at like 35% HP for almost its entire duration. And yeah, just able to get too much done with all these tools they have to deal with the lifestealer, both offensively and defensively. And Ad Finem in a lot better scenario now. We finally see Zai join a fight, and he is very farmed on this Timber Saw. It does have did have the Bloodstone sub 15 minutes, but just I guess a little bit too late to the fray. And you know, with the constant well-placed surges coming out from Skylark, Ad Finem were just too elusive here. They'll get the mid lane tower. Oh, it will be denied. Nicely played by Come With Me and Sing Sing teaming up to do that, and the cask bouncing through perfectly between Thug and Skylark. But it doesn't seem like Ad Finem are done just yet. They have a slight Searing Chains. Everyone a little bit too deep though, and they will get a couple of tracks up and look to retreat and farm. Madara going to TP to the bot lane, and with the Chronosphere off the table of tools at their disposal, Ad Finem will be able to back out of this mid lane and continue to farm away.
Yeah, but as you said, Kaipi do have this Timber Saw. He's pretty stacked, and if Bone7's actually able to land hits on someone, then yeah, he's got an armor, he's got phase boots, he's able to a truckload of damage, but that's just really a big if. It seems like the Coil and the Lifestealer haven't really been in the same place at the same time. You can maybe get a kill to happen with Lifestealer and Spirit Breaker still at this stage, but this is supposed to be, again, Kaipi at their strongest, and it doesn't really seem like that's necessarily the case right now, at least judging by those past couple of fights. It's still not completely over, far from it. They just have to watch their positioning and really be decisive. I think that's maybe just a side effect of having a new player on the team in Zai. Even though he is a veteran, he's still just the odd guy out at this stage. So maybe just make some more decisive calls, and Kaipi can get their act together. But as it stands, it is at Finem, I feel, who are just playing better at this stage. They're kind of abusing their draft more. They're going to land a 2-man chains up towards top. Thug's going to cancel a charge with that as well. I don't know if he knew the charge was coming from there exactly, but whatever works, man.
Yeah, very nicely played by Thug. Gonna keep him safe for now. They had the Death Ward on top of that, which does a hell of a lot of damage to an Ember Spirit, and they're gonna charge towards bot lane. Zai gonna look to go in, gonna backtrack most of that damage with the Time Walk, and they should be just fine here. They have a Chronosphere available. They've got a couple heroes behind this Void, as well as a mech, and wisely so, Bambo gonna cancel the charge up for now. Dire side, they do no longer have vision in this jungle. 3-hero smoke up is going to come out. Thug going to be surged forward. They get the silence on Madara though, and with the Death Ward, they'll bring him down before the Chronosphere comes out. Nice vacuum wall on top of the grip, but Zai, he's still fighting strong, and the Death Ward doing work. Thug, he's getting low. He has to run it out. Chakram is going to be dodged. Nicely played by Thug. Almost gets there, and then they will have the Nether Strike forward onto Skylark, who's able to surge himself away. But Sing Sing top side going to deal with Bone7 with the Spartan Bane, and he will end up dropping. Skylark actually had to try and turn the corner to juke, and he should die here as well. Jump forward from Sing Sing. The body box will come through. The orb is there. One more right click. 3-0 for Kaipi in this bottom lane. And they'll finally get some work done there with the early kill on the Void. being the major factor in that fight. And Thug, he's got one remnant, but it's not thrown down just yet. Bambo, oh, coming through the trees. Would have been close. Chronosphere was there, though, if need be, from Mrpdota. And believe he had vision of that TP in with the lane ward. So going to make the safe decision and cancel the charge there. But either way, a big win in that bottom lane for Kaipi.
Yeah, I mean, the Faceless Void knew he had backup coming, but unfortunately he wasn't quite big enough to handle the heroes that were coming from Kaipi, so he was kind of baiting to his own doom because he just didn't know the scope of the fight that was going to happen. And another thing that happened there was that the Ember Spirit, even with the Guard and the Ion Shell, went straight towards the Witch Doctor, but ate an entire Death Ward at least. They're going to know that maybe next time's around because Bambo was charging through him. Dust is going to miss, and it looks like maybe next time is probably just going to get out of here, so he should be fine. But yeah, they pretty much, well, they definitely lost the Faceless Void first thing without him doing anything. Thug, I mean, he spent the vast majority of his toolkit just trying to escape, and that's definitely not what happened in the past fights where he's able to sit in the fights and just start right-clicking things, use the Flame Guard aggressively, and of course, you know, get multiple casts of the Slight Chains combo. But Kaipi able to handle the problem heroes first, and that's, you know, sometimes very difficult to do, but when it happens, and it leads to a really great fight for them. We'll see if they can replicate it right now, because there's going to be another fight incoming. Maybe next time with the Ion Shell is going to find Bambo. Bambo will know immediately what's going on. His Dust is available. He's going to get tracked instead. Jump in from Zai. Going to annihilate the Bounty Hunter's health pool with the Nether Strike. Oh my god. Bounty Hunter's dead already. Bambo's dropping very low. They land a two-man Chronosphere. The follow-up, though, it's lacking. Where is it? They're going to kill off the Spirit Breaker only with a Death Ward from the outsets. From Kaip is going to destroy Mrpdota's health pool. He's forced to time walk out with the mech. They'll keep everyone alive for right now, but the Sing Sing Puck, he's right in the middle of the fray. He's going to drop Mrpdota and Scarlet very low, but they're unable to get the finishing blow. They'll kill off the Bane in the side, but Thug, he's still in the middle of this fight. He's going to try to go for Sing Sing, but has to jump out. He doesn't have enough damage just yet. He only has the Perseverance at this stage. He has another Rem to jump to. Will dodge the chain, but he's very far away from backup right now. He'll jump away one more time. He's got travels, but Zai's right on his tail, and he's gonna walk into tower range. They know exactly where he is. Chakram, Whirling Depth, Orb through, not quite it. He's gonna dodge yet another chain, but they got the kill in the end. And for Finem, they're unable to really capitalize on that Chronosphere well enough. It seems like Kaipi's tankiness is finally starting to show itself.
It's just simply immaculate positioning from Come With Me and just not enough attention from Finem given to this Witch Doctor. It seems like 3 fights now they've won off a great Death Ward. Sing Sing's kind of been caught early. He hasn't got off great coils. Bone 7's been kited effectively. Zai has been doing work, certainly, on the Timber Saw since he's gotten so fat and does have the Blink Dagger on top of that as well. But, you know, for a bit there, he was time dilated, so it was difficult for him to get all that much done. But just so much damage output from Come With Me, and he's almost level 11 now. So if they don't spend something, be it, you know, the Chronosphere or the Grip on this Witch Doctor, is not boding well for Finem. They have taken a couple of very costly engagements here recently, and even with Track Gold, Kaipi very heavily favored. You'll see now that reflected on the net worth chart. I mean, the only kind of relevant core is Thug coming out from Finem, and he does die on that back end, which sets him back a little ways from his battle fury here. Still 1,000 gold from that.
I mean, this is Kaipi at their strongest at this stage. They need to be winning these fights. If they were losing these fights, then, I mean, Kaipi will essentially just be out of the game. But because they're winning, they at least have a chance moving onwards. They are limiting the amount of track kills that MNT is able to grab. They're limiting the effectiveness of the Chronosphere, which already were, you know, kind of sketchy to begin with, seeing as though the draft from Finem doesn't really allow for instant Chronosphere kills. They are handling this game rather well. Again, the problem for Kaipi is that killing off structures, forcing objectives, is a struggle without first getting a kill. But that's what their heroes are good at. So they're going to group up over in mid, smoke up. They got all 5 here. Sing, it's got the Veil and the Blink Dagger. So whoever they find is going to be in for a world of hurt, but there's no one really in the area. So it seems like this smoke is most likely going to be wasted, although if they go left or right, they can find someone. So yeah, go right. There you go. There's a Faceless Void here. Come With Me smoke is going to be blown. Maybe next time. And Mrpdota, he's going to fail to jump to the high ground. There is no punish for that, though. Yeah. And it seems like the smoke will, in fact, be wasted.
Very well positioned from Mrpdota there. They had a beat on what Kaipi were doing. No one was showing in any of the lanes. The lane was pretty heavily pushed in top, and even so mid. So they were fairly aware that Kaipi were, you know, either in the pit or making a smoke play, and Mrpdota well enough positioned there to TP himself out. So as you mentioned, you know, we'll end up, you know, gathering some information for Kaipi, a little bit of a deep warding mission there, but not going to bear fruit in terms of hero kills. And Now, Ad Finem going to look to put the onus on themselves to initiate the fights, and going to look to push up towards this top lane and bait a reaction.
Alright, so Ad Finem, what they want to do is just take a fight that really just has Darkseer doing work. I think that's probably the biggest thing, because the Ember Spirit's contributions, that's going to be almost guaranteed. Faceless Void doesn't even need a great Chronosphere as long as they have Ion Shells taken away the entire time. That's the damage output that they really need to guarantee in these fights. It is going to be up to Skylark's positioning, of course, to make sure that happens. But for right now, Tier 2, top lane and bottom lane going to fall. Who's going to blink first? It seems like Kaipi are going to force themselves back. Charge is coming in towards Madara. I don't think Bambo is that ballsy, though. Doesn't have a BKB for that charge, so he will fall back, and it looks like it'll just be a pure, simple Tier 2 for Tier 2 trade. And I don't really know if that necessarily favors anyone right now. Maybe Ad Fiem just a little bit. They have the Bounty Hunter, they have this solo assassination power with the Ember Spirit, but it's not really going to be a huge benefit going either way.
I would say they're a bit weaker in teamfight scenarios, so the fact that they're able to dodge one and trade towers evenly may favor them a little bit, but MNT, he's going to get caught. Charge is going to be there, Death Ward even deployed for good measure. Coming out from Come With Me, as they knew there were heroes present recently in the top lane, so just going to ensure that they get the kill. They'll drop down some of this wardage as well and really secure their jungle and top lane area to kind of stymie the potential for split push now that this Tier 2 is down. A lot of defensively postured wards here coming out, and now Spartan, he's going to be charged up, and Zai, excuse me, is nearby. He'll get the Nightmare off to dodge the charge. Nicely played, but it'll be to no avail, as the Timber Chain will finish him off. Bambo actually the one with the right click to find the kill, excuse me. But that ward, although taken out, is going to provide them with a kill at its last dying breath. Top lane, Skylark charged up, surged away though underneath the tower, and TP's coming in. Will back off Bambo. They've got this Tier 1 to TP2 as well, and Madara, he's jumping forward, looking for something. He's got the Yasha move speed. He's going to be surged up here. Siege Creep will be taken down. He can time walk once more. Bambo going to charge away. Keeps him safe for now. And Kaipi doing a decent job of forcing reactions around the map for Ad Finem while they farm. So it feels like this last couple of minutes has benefited them pretty heavily. And bot lane, Thug, I don't know that they really can kill him off here. Bambo will not be able to complete the charge as the slight chains comes out from Thug, and Sing Sing will just opt to clear up the wave. But in the meantime, has picked himself up a Yule Scepter, so going to be a lot more difficult to kill off in these fights. Going to have that great regen sustain as well to continue to shove these waves out against the Ember Spirit.
Well, slow and steady right now for the Kaipi squad. They're getting a lot of farm, as said, in the background. Blink Dagger travels, and a really fat Bloodstone here for Zai with another 1200 in the bank. Not too bad. It's actually no longer 1200. It's a straight Ether Lens on him. So yeah, this Timbersaw is actually pretty darn huge, and for Ad Finem, their non-physical damage, their ways to cut through that reactive armor, are few and far between, and it seems like Kaipi, if they just sit back on this farming lead, they're getting pretty far ahead off of this. There is always going to be a winner in one of these games where, you know, everyone's just farming, and this time it is Kaipi. Ad Finem are, you know, farming with Thug, but for the Faceless Void, he really doesn't want to be sitting back and farming at this stage. Chronosphere, is it up? If yes, you go and use the Chronosphere. If no, you go ahead and farm, but just not able to get any opportunities there because Kaipi are really well positioned with their heroes and really assertive with their positioning as well. They will know that maybe next time's up towards top lane. They'll chop down all the trees and look for him, but they're going to charge up Madara. In the meantime, Bambo not going to man up and go into the Tier 2 tower, but still, they're just messing with Ad Finem's head at this point. Unfortunately for them, it's not really resulting into any objectives, so for Kaipi, it's pretty much just farm for farm's sake.
Yeah, it definitely feels like Thug is kind of the only issue for them in talking about scaling in towards the late game. Madara, I don't know that he's really gotten all that much done, and you know, we talked about kind of the slight draft issue from Ad Finem's side is that they just don't have all that much to contribute into these chronos. But yeah, Madara top lane, they're going to find MNT, or MNT is going to find Come With Me. They're even going to expend the grip for this one, just to ensure that they bring down this pesky Witch Doctor who has caused them a lot of headaches early on in this game. But Kaipi, they're going to look to find the trade. Bambo, Bone 7, they're in the pit, looking to grab up Roshan, and there's no tower for Ad Finem to trade here top lane. So, you know, a Witch Doctor for a Roche would certainly be a nice trade for Kaipi to be able to grab here, and they can look to fight as their Witch Doctor respawns hereafter.
Yeah, now this time it's, you know, map control for an objective. And yeah, they lose the Witch Doctor for it, but it's a small price to pay. They'll take very little damage with that open wounds, and they will grab the Aegis for the Timbersaw, actually. You can do certainly a lot with both of those lives, but I can't help but feel that perhaps the Lifestealer would be a little bit more aggressive, so more likely to use the Aegis. But, you know, whatever. I mean, it's still a Timbersaw with a hell of a lot of damage, a hell of a lot of HP, a really deep mana pool with a lot of regeneration, so you can't really go wrong with that. Kaipi looking for someone to really prey off of afterwards. They will catch a charge onto Thug, jump in from Zai and annihilate him! Oh my god, that was a lot of pure damage. Now they're going to land the charge onto Spartan. Nightmare not going to come out in time. Orb through Spartan is going to fall as well. The doors are open for Kaipi to make a little bit of a push. They have the Desolator minus armor. Still not huge for pushing, but good enough. And for Finem, they just have to try to split push this out. MNT is going to look for a courier snipe, it seems. I guess that's kind of nice for him, but that's not going to stop the push.
Yeah, nothing on it either. And I really love the itemization from Kaipi. They go of boots of travel on the Timbersaw as well as the puck, and they've got a charge on top of that, and they've got a Lifestealer who can infest any of those 3 targets. So they're almost omnipresent on the map aside from the Witch Doctor. And you know, we talked about their lack of push ability on this lineup. They're going to be able to just kind of take the numbers advantage and then push. Sing Sing, he's going to be chronoed up though mid lane as the straggler left behind. We'll get the silence off though. Madara able to manta it off and walk back, but I mean, this is exactly what we were talking about. The Void is just not that scary in terms of a damage dealer here. And Sing Sing, you know, with the Euro Scepter able to keep himself safe. There's a chrono off the board. They'll shove out their lanes, look to take these two, at least one of these 2 towers top lane. And it does feel like Kaipi just have the run of the map right now with a couple of sets of travels as well as, well, Bone 7. He's going to be gripped up here. Skylark jumping through. They don't have a Chronosphere, however. Bambo going to charge through 3. It's going to keep Bone 7 safe for now. The vacuum back is going to whiff. And now they're continuing to fight. The Nightmare will be there onto Bambo for the time being. Earn charge onto Ziggy. They need a bash badly for Bone 7. They'll get one. The armlet toggle, though, will keep himself safe for the time being. Ion Shell is there, but he's able to toggle just as he gets out of range. He'll infest one, keep himself safe, and Madara gonna have to look to cancel the Death Ward. Now Zai coming through as well. Whirling Death, Timber Chain. Madara gonna drop Coil, will ensure he does. And MNT on the backside is unable to find Bone 7. So a wild goose chase ends up just losing a Void for Finem here. 50 seconds, he's gonna be on the sideline. Aegis still in hand here onto Zai's Timbersaw. So 22 Bloodstone charges. Kaipi, they'll shove their waves. Look to maybe take this last outer tier tower out with the remaining duration of this Aegis.
Bambo actually escaped from that situation, saving the Lifestealer with the 3-man charge. Now he's going to go back in towards Spartan. Is he on the high ground? No, not quite. He's dead, though, so that's good enough for Kaipi. Grabbing the Bane kill on top of that. But yeah, Bambo actually survives that entire engagement. Armlet is apparently a very balanced item, which he's now going to try to use to kill off Thug. Not quite going to happen up against the Blink Tiger Ember Spirit, so he's going to have to call it quits. But Kaipi able to just kite out Finem. Their severe lack of damage is showing, and maybe they could have just, you know, been done and dusted with that fight if they had Thug in the area, but he was pushing bottom lane. They're going to jump in towards MNT. They dust him up. He's going to try to hide in the trees. That does not work up against a Timbersaw. Madara's going to teleport in, but what can he do here? He's going to need, like, every single hit to bash if he wants to get a kill here. He can't fight up against Zai at this stage. He needs backup. Thug is going to be that backup, but immediately silenced. Madara is going to purge off that silence with the Mana Stab, but now Bambo is going to make his arrival. Charging only onto 1, but still, that's maybe good enough. Kaipi, where's the Lifestealer? Where's the backup for real here? There's a vacuum wall. Only to Bambo to take him down. Now Chronosphere onto Sing. Ziggy's here. Bone 7's gonna try to go in, but he's gonna get gripped up immediately. Now Thug focusing down the Lifestealer, armlet toggling. Well, looks like it's gonna be good enough to get him out of this one as well. As they turn and focus onto Madara now, Thug can't even get into the fray fast enough, and now he's the only one alive. He's gonna land a slight chains combo, but that's definitely not good enough. Kaipi take a 2-for-4 exchange on this top lane, maybe looking for that 5th. As Zai's gonna jump in, Thug does have spirits to jump to, so he's just gonna probably just waste some of Zai's time at this stage. But still, for Kaipi, they are just brute forcing Finem out of these fights.
Yeah, they get a nice kill onto Sing Sing there that, you know, earlier on we didn't see Thug nearly have the damage to be able to bring down the puck, but he does get a couple of fortunate bashes off there and is able to bring him down. Either way, Kaipi certainly overall pretty happy with the engagement, especially in the sense that, I mean, Zai is super fat right now. He's 27 Bloodstone charges. He can go for something like a Lotus Orb here to purge off that time dilation. as well as it's going to be nice against the Bane and the Bounty Hunter. So we'll see what he ends up going, but he's got the pick of the litter at this point. He's doing a lot of work in these team fights, and he's just not a hero that they can bring down in the Chronosphere. So we're seeing kind of impromptu, improvising Chronospheres coming out from Thug, and even if he's able to bring one of these targets down, they just have so many sources of damage on Kaipi's side. And Bambo, he's been disruptive enough in these fights. So if they don't bring down the Witch Doctor, the Death Ward comes out. They don't bring down Sing Sing, all his kit with the veil on top comes out. Bone 7, for obvious reasons, can do a lot of single target damage, and they just don't seem to have any way to deal with Zai. And although Thug can survive here on the Ember Spirit for the most part, he's just not enough by his lonesome and to be able to turn the tides of these fights for Finem. And to some extent, that's Kaipi's advantage, and to another, it's a slight bit of a draft issue with just not enough damage to contribute into this Chronosphere for Finem's side. So Kaipi with a great foothold in this one, and we'll get back underway, and they'll look to likely take out this last tower and then push high ground shortly.
I feel like for Finem, like before, we saw Ember Spirit pretty much just go off, and he was doing that with Ion Shell. He was pretty much doing that by himself, and now for Finem, it seems like they kind of have to work together as a team to make this Ember Spirit work instead of having him just do work by himself. Again, it can immediately win a fight if they just land, a 3-man Chronosphere vacuum wall or something like that with Ember Spirit actually in the area. Just having a single Sleight of Fist casted in that can just demolish Kaipi regardless of how tanky they are, but those combos have yet to land because Kaipi have been almost exclusively the ones to start fights, or if Finem are going to start fights, it's really on a really small scale while at the same time using their big ultimates, i.e. Chronosphere only on a puck, which, did get the kill, but in the grand scheme of things, as far as enabling their Ember Spirit is concerned, they really need a little bit better than that. If they had, a real stun instead of like a Nightmare from the Bane, then maybe this wouldn't be that much of an issue, but because all of their crowd control is pretty much ultimate based, they can't afford to be throwing it on just one target anymore. I guess they do have the grip, so they will be able to do that, but those haven't really been sticking for as long as Spartan would really like, at least not long enough for the Ember Spirit to get in there and start chopping people up. So Finem need to just get their teamwork in play just for a couple of fights, and they're right back into it, but until that happens, they're going to be facing down an Aghanim Scepter Witch Doctor, a Timbersaw with freaking Aghanim Scepter, 27 Bloodstone charges, 3,200 gold. Like, do I even have to keep going? Like, even the Lifesteal's looking at an AC soon, so everyone on Kaipi are getting super, super stacked. And most of these items are going to be bulky items as well. Like, in fact, all of them are. So, every single hero on Kaipi, they're getting survivability one way or another.
Yeah, it's just, simply what we've been mentioning is there's so many sources of damage, and Zai is pretty much impossible to deal with at this point. He will have the Aegis expire here 33.5 minutes or so into the game, but it just doesn't feel like the supporting cast is doing nearly as much for Finem as it is for their counterparts. And speaking of sources of damage, Aghanim Scepter going to come out now for Come With Me on the Witch Doctor, so it's going to only get more difficult here. MNT stalking the Lifestealer top lane. Bone 7 could be in a bit of trouble. Thug, Spartan nearby with the grip. Open Wounds will come out, but he doesn't get the Rage off before the Fiend's grip, so it will be doing all of its damage. And then they are able to bring down the Lifestealer. The grip is down, though, so Bambo, he's going to feel free to jump into this engagement. Thug going to be able to remnant away, though. Spartan nearby with the Nightmare, and Bambo is going to have to be forced to cancel that for now. So a very key pick-off to come out for Finem's side. Still don't know if it offers or buys them enough time in this one to feel really relevant. It feels like Mrpdota is the key hero that's lacking damage, and I do feel like they really need a Blink Dagger on Skylark. They just don't have anyone to initiate to ensure that this Chronosphere is good. We haven't seen any kind of huge vacuums. We saw one in the mid lane with no follow-up, and Skylark going for this 4-staff build against a Spirit Breaker and a Lifestealer is understandable, but at the same time, just not having really much initiation for Mrpdota's Chronosphere is definitely hurt Finem thus far.
And judging by the amount of gold he's currently holding, it doesn't seem like Blink Dagger is on the docket for him yet. This would indicate Sheepstick or Shivas to me, but you'd think either one would be, you spend some of this 3,900 gold because you should, but hey, they get a pretty nice kill on the Lifestealer up towards the top lane. They use the Ether Lens on the Bane to get an obnoxiously long grip, and they actually used that to enable Thug. He was able to right-click, and that has been not happening in the past couple fights, and now he's going to right-click a little bit harder, grabbing that Big Daddy crit, so He will have the Daedalus ready to go, and it seems like it's pretty much perfect timing for that one because the fight is coming to him. Smoke up from Kaipi. They have a gem and a haste rune and an arcane rune on Sing, and oh my god, my game crashed. Are you kidding me? Please no. Get back in.
Mid lane, they are going to charge in onto Madara. They'll burst him down immediately. Even gets the Manta off to purge the Waning Rift silence, but that's a Void dead. 60 seconds on the sideline. Now they're going to jump forward for more. Thug, he's going to be silenced up, but they will be able to retreat and reset, waiting for this next wave to come through. Still, though, it's going to be about 35 seconds where there's no Void here and no Chronosphere available for the Ad Finem side. They do have an Ember Spirit pretty decent at defending this high ground with the Daedalus now. But if they're unable to clean up this wave very hastily, Kaipi can look to jump up to the high ground and immediately will finish it up. They'll get the Griff off. It's immediately canceled by Sing with the jump forward silence. Gets a coil off onto 2. Lotus Orb is there onto Zai. He's going to try and jump forward. The Slight, though, doing a lot of damage to come with Mi's Witch Doctor, and Death Ward is off the table for now. So Kaipi, this is one of the weaknesses of their draft. They're just really not very good at sieging. Lifestealer, the only hero they can throw on the high ground, and in general, there's a grip to deal with him. And now 5 seconds until Madara is back up on the board, and Thug, he's going to be pushing top lane. He's charged up right now, and we'll be able to remnant away back to down towards his base. So for now, they are going to be able to mount a successful base defense with their Void down.
God damn it, dude. Pardon my French, but fuck everything. Like, I literally just disconnected from the game as soon as that smoke gank was coming in, saw nothing, and now I can't get back in. Like, are you kidding me, Volvo?
5-man smoke coming out.
No, they have to stop. Tell them to stop playing aggressively.
Catch Bambo. Thug in a little bit of trouble. 2-man Chronosphere going to come out from Madara. Gets the time dilation off as well. Death Ward from the outside doing work for Come With Me. It is going to finally be canceled by a vacuum, though, and now Come With Me is down to Madara. And Ad Finem finally going to be able to cancel that Death Ward and take a good engagement because of it. Bambo, he's bought back. He's back in the fight. Thug is going to be able to remnant away, so Spartan not going to be so lucky. And Thug should be able to make it out on the Ember Spirit here. They'll infest up Bambo and look for more. Madara, he's going to be charged up. Could be in a little bit of trouble. They'll bring down the Skylark Darkseer. In the meantime, Zai going to continue to press forward. And chaining forward will come through Madara. He'll whiff on the 2 Chakrams, however, and Madara will be able to make it out and away. So they do force a buyback coming out of Bambo on the Spirit Breaker for Kaipi. Ends up being overall a 2-for-2 with a buyback expended, but now they're looking for more over by the rune spot. MNT on the Bounty Hunter, he's going to be dropped here. 3 heroes down, 2 of which have buyback. Bounty Hunter off for 40 seconds, and it looks like Kaipi are going to look to poke at the high ground with this.
Alright, well, I'm back in. Madara's going to try to hold this by himself. He has no bubble, though. He's going to get charged up. Still pretty tanky with that Vanguard. Not going to die just yet. No trees here. Skylark's going to arrive, as will Thug. Vacuum back only onto Timbersaw. Not quite good enough. And they will force the buyout on the Darkseer. Kaipi not really expending all that much in order to gain that. But still not going to breach the high ground just yet. Again, that's the biggest issue. Even with the AC now coming out for Bone 7. Just not enough brute force power versus those structures. Timbersaw doesn't really do that. Puck doesn't do that. Spirit Breaker doesn't do that. So, yeah, for Kaipi, they are going to have to be just happy with these kills, but they're getting quite a few of them. 31 total Bloodstone charges now. You have a better tally of what happened than I do, of course, but it seems like Kaipi pretty much just, went all in, and now they're pretty much looking at this Roshan in a winning game state. Madara does have a Chronosphere. Bambo is going to charge through absolutely everyone, though. And he's going to drop Skylark very low immediately. Spartan's going to fall. Chronosphere is great. Onto 3 heroes, but a single Sleight of Fist, that's not quite good enough. They will almost take down Bambo with the Vacuum Wall afterwards. Yes, they will guarantee a little bit of damage here, but it's not quite enough as Sing Sing jumps in, looking for Skylark. Timber Chain's there with the Yule Scepter. Darkseer isn't running anywhere. He'll fall into a Chakram, as will MNT. And they got Thug on the back line to deal with. He has taken down the supporting cast of Kaipi. Another Sleight Chains here. They'll throw in a couple more Chakrams towards the Bone 7 Lycer. He's not taking anything, really. Madara, he's able to jump out. And now Thug, well, he's still playing games here. He's going to look for Sing. Jumps over the hill. Another Slight. No, blink forward is good enough. I think Sing is going to get the silence off, and with the backup he has, he's actually going to get a lot of distance away. Thug is still doing some serious work, but he's unable to land the finishing blow here. He'll get torn to shreds by the blades. And now Madara looking for that haste rune. That will almost guarantee his escape, or not. He's going to turn around and grab a lifestealer kill with 1 hit. Okay, Madara playing things a little bit fast and loose. Has still got to play the dodge game versus the Timber, but he will make it out. They've delayed the Roshan attempt, and I think for Finem that might have been good enough.
It was very costly. Losing Thug on the backside is suboptimal, but it feels like overall that was pretty darn good. Still, they've yet to deal with Zai, though. I mean, he's sitting on 27,000 net worth. He did pick up the Lotus Orb, as I mentioned earlier. He's got 35 stacks on his Bloodstone, as well as 4,600 gold, and he's going to get gripped up here, likely mid lane.
Oh.
The Lotus Orb, though, instantly going to cancel it. Nice reaction from Zai, and Spartan with maybe a bit of oversight, but either way, it still remains, you know, the issue that Kaipi have yet to be able to push high ground, and you know, Ember Spirit is an excellent hero at being able to thwart that attempt, and they've got a Void on top of it who's becoming increasingly relevant on Madara. He's got the Mjolnir up now, so he does do some damage in these fights, and you know, Timbersaw is not enough by himself. We saw when the Lifestealer at the end was finally able to get on top of Thug that he does do a boatload of single target damage. Adesso, AC, Echo Saber, Armlet certainly going to help in that cause, but you know, they're going to need 2 or 3 key heroes dead from Finem side to push this high ground for Kaipi. So, you know, despite all the mid-game advantage that they gained and, you know, a current 12,000 net worth lead, 15,000 experience lead, it doesn't really feel like they're that far ahead. Thug, though, he's in trouble. Top lane is going to get hexed up, and this may just be enough to bring him down. Chronosphere going to drop from Madara, but it's not enough to cover his Ember Spirit. They may be able to get the Sing Sing return kill here, but the phase shift is there in time. They're looking for the Bounty Hunter. They'll get the Dust and the Nether Strike off on the east side, and on the west, Zai gonna look to try and bring down Madara here. He has a Time Walk in just a second. TP out. Will be able to secure his retreat. They do find maybe next time, though, and Sing Sing barely surviving here as well with the phase shift top lane. So this may be enough for Kaipi to march down one of these lanes. However, you know, the lanes are in a much, you know, favored position for Finem. Just having the Darkseer to shove them out, having the Ember Spirit constantly shoving them out as well. You know, Kaipi, it'll at least give them an opening to find the Aegis, but they won't be able to touch high ground, it seems, before the Bounty Hunter is alive. Zai, though, dealing with bottom lane, will have some company soon, as most of these heroes we mentioned before do have boots of travel, and, you know, that Hex top lane for Zai, the reveal of that was exactly what was able to net the kill on the Ember Spirit, and again, he's going to put it to work. Spartan going to be brought down here with ease. Double
and
shock
Madara
from there. 37 stacks on this Bloodstone for Zai. And now they'll take the last outer tier tower.
They got Madara as well, just with the Blink Sheepstick up on the Puck. They have 2 Sheepsticks, Kaipi, 2 Blink Sheepsticks, actually, on the Timbersaw and the Puck. They chained them perfectly together to kill off the Ember Spirit, and now they got an extra Faceless Void on the bottom lane. And now they're looking at 2 sets of Raxes. They're still tier 2 up towards top lane, so they can't get the full Megas. But this is the pick-off style that you were talking about. They need 2 or 3 decisive heroes from Finem to be off the table before they can push. Wish granted. You get Blink Sheepstick, suddenly the game gets a lot easier if you're Sing Sing, if you're Zai, just being able to hex up that very elusive Faceless Void in the Ember Spirit. And there's really no stopping them, so this is going to be 2 sets of Raxes at least. And for Finem, they have no buybacks right now on any of the heroes, so they will need to wait 20 seconds for that Chronosphere. But I'm not really sure if they have the time to spare, especially when Zai's going to jump in, look for Thug by himself. Sheepstick, Chain Stun is going to be there with Vacuum back, is going to save Thug at least for the moment. Bambo's stuck in the wall, and it looks like he should be the first one to fall. He's taking damage from the tier 4s. They're also on to Sing Sing, who's taking an absolute crap ton of damage, but in the meantime, it's Bone 7 who's focusing on the objectives. He'll take down the melee axes by himself. Thug is doing what he can, but he has to jaunt out of there. Spartan is in the area, Skylark, Thug, they're all looking to go in. Madara's not a Chronosphere, only into Bone 7, but it doesn't matter. The Mega's already been claimed. They'll try taking the Lifesteal, but they don't even have damage for that. He's just turning around with the open wounds and just laying into Madara, even with the static charge up. Ziggy, well, he's going to get hexed up himself by Skylark, but that's not quite good enough again. Spartan's now the one hexed up. How many hexes are there in this game? Doesn't seem like it's enough for Finem, that's for sure. As Kaipi have the advantage of Mega Creeps right now, and now I think even if they all die, it's all over. Spartan's going to call it, and it will be Kaipi to win Game 2, pushing it to a Game 3. Now this is the interesting game that I was talking about. This is what I want to see from these 2 teams.
Yeah, Kaipi, I think the story of the game is just that they've built much more solid lanes. They certainly expected the bounty hunter pick, as we did, to come out in the first phase for Finem, and you know, towards the mid game, they definitely showed signs of life. But you know, early on, they just didn't get enough done with the Chronospheres. You know, Madara on the Void finishes up 4, 6, and 13, and it's just kind of a docile score for the Faceless Void. And you know, against a Puck, you expect to be able to do some work as that hero with the time dilation and the Chronosphere to deal with him. So I felt like Finem, with a little bit of lack of damage, I felt like Bone 7 adjusted and adapted very well with his draft in the second game, not leaving any openings in the early game, allowing them to get, you know, a good sizable advantage out of the lanes and really dominate towards the mid game. And then finally, you know, the Hex is that one missing piece of the puzzle, as you mentioned, to get those key pickoffs to finally go high ground. And Zai must have ended with, you know, 40 plus Bloodstone charges on this Timber.
But I think if you're going to give it to anyone, it's got to be Bambo's Spirit Breaker. Locked down the early game and let Kaipi get off to that good start. He's involved in 37 of the 43 kills. That's absolutely insane on any hero. I guess Spirit Breaker would be the one to do it, but Bambo certainly giving his team quite a lot of momentum there. But guys, this is going to the final game. We'll be right back on Mikelorus. I've been joined by Mrpdota, and we'll be right back for Game 3 between Kaipi and Finem in just a little bit, guys.